Hi guys, this is going to be one short video that will get you started with Docker. So I will explain you what is Docker and what functionality it has to offer. I will explain all the associated terms and I will show you how you can pull and run images from Docker Hub. I will also show you how you can containerize your own application and how you can use Docker Compose to run multiple containers as services. I will also show you how you can configure volumes and get access to containers terminal. So let's get started. So before moving forward, I will explain you what is Docker and what are its features, benefits, and functionalities. So Docker is a tool that simplifies the process of building, shipping, and running applications. And by all this, I mean that it allows you to package applications and their dependencies into containers. And later, those containers can be easily moved around, deployed on different machines and environments. So Docker creates lightweight, isolated containers, and these containers use host system resources, which make them very efficient. So it speeds up the development process and provide a platform-free way to deploy applications. It also facilitates deployment and scaling of applications in production. And using Docker in software development allows you to utilize pre-built images and also create your own custom images. So enough of the theory, now let's dive into the practical. So before moving forward, you need to install Docker on your system. And this is the process to install Docker on Ubuntu. On the official website, you can find the procedure to install Docker on Windows and Mac OS also. So after installing the Docker, you can check whether it's installed correctly or not by checking the version of Docker. I will do it right now. You can see that the Docker is correctly installed on my system and its version is 26. Now moving on to Docker Hub. So Docker Hub is a public repository where users and companies have hosted their official images. For example, Redis, MongoDB, and Postgres. Now I will search Postgres. So this is the page for official image of Postgres. And this is the command to pull the image, docker pull Postgres. And talking of images versus containers, many people confuse these both terms. So whenever a container is not running, it is called an image. And when it starts to run, it is called a container. Now I will pull this Docker image. You can see these layers are getting downloaded. So Docker builds the images layer by layer, and each layer represents a change in file system. So in future, when I will download any other latest version of Postgres, it will not download all the layers. It will download the layer from which the actual file change has occurred. Each layer is represented here by a hash. This helps Docker to identify the change. Now I will run the Postgres image using docker run command. And bam, we face an error. It says database is uninitialized and the super user password is not specified. So basically, in order to run this Postgres image, we need to provide the credentials for the database. And this can be done by providing environment variables into this docker run command. I will show you how. So here I have split the command for better readability. And here after -e, you can see the environment variables. This is the password, this is the user, and this is the database name. And also I mapped the host port to the containers port. So this is the host and this is containers. I will run this command. And here you can see that the container has started and the database is initialized. By pressing Ctrl C, I will stop the container. So this is how you run a Docker container, but there's a problem with this command. So if you accidentally close this terminal, your Docker container will stop. So in order to avoid this, we can run our container in detach mode. And for that, I will modify the run command. So here I will provide one more parameter -d that will tell Docker to run this container in detached mode. So now this container is running in a detached mode. It has given some ID. And to see all the running containers, there is a command docker ps. Here you can see the running container, the container ID, the image name, and the port it is mapped to. So in order to stop this container, you can use docker stop command, and then you have to provide the container ID. I will just copy this container ID. So now this container is stopped. We can verify this using the ps command, and there is no running container. Now I will show you commands to remove all the stopped containers and images. So the command is docker container prune. It will ask, are you sure you want to continue? And similarly, you can remove all the images using the image command. So here you do not need to specifically provide a container ID or image ID. This will remove all the stored containers and images. I will clear this. Now I want to talk about the storage of containers. So by default, containers do not have a persistent storage. So whenever you will remove a container and its image, the storage will be lost. I will show you how. I will once again start the container in detached mode. Now I will connect to this database. Here I will provide the credentials. So I have connected to the database. Now I will create a table and enter some records. I will run this. The table is created and the records are also entered. I will check the table. So this is the column name and age, and these are the records. Now I will stop and remove my container. To remove a container, you will use the remove command. Now I will restart this container. I will refresh the connection. Here you can see the tables are now empty. To avoid this problem and make the storage persistent, we use volumes. And how to use volume, I will explain you in a bit. Now moving on to Docker Compose. So it is much more structured and elegant way to run your services instead of typing whole configuration into the command line. So for this, you need to create a YAML file like I have created postgres.yaml. And in this, you will define your services and its configurations. So this is the syntax. You have to define the version, and under the services, you will define your service. My first service is DB. And in this, I will mention the image, which is Postgres, and the version is latest. Now I will mount the volume of host to the container. So this is the volumes that I was talking earlier. So this is present on the host directory, and this is present in the containers directory. So this is the directory in which Postgres stores its data by default. For any other database, you can look up on the internet. And under the environment, I have defined the environment variables. And under the ports, I have defined the port. So this is the host port and this is the containers port. And under the volumes, I will mention the volume that I have mounted. So this is how you will define your services under the services. Now I will show you how you can run this YAML file. Here I will mention the file name. And then the command is up. I will build it. So this will build the services and make the containers up. You can also run the services in detached mode using -d. I will check the containers using docker ps command. So this is our container. You can also close all the services once using the docker compose down command. Now this database service has stopped. I can verify that using docker ps command. There's no running container. Now moving on to Dockerfile. So this is how you will create a custom Docker image. First of all, you will create a file, Dockerfile, with exactly this name. And then you will define the procedure how to build your image. So first of all, I'm using the base image of Python 3.9 Slim. And then I'm defining the environment variables. After that, I'm installing the dependencies using this run keyword. And then I'm creating a directory named app using this work directory. So this directory will be created inside the container. And after this command, the flow will move inside this directory. So then I'm using this copy command that will copy the requirements.txt file and paste it inside this app directory. After that, using the run keyword, I will run this command pip install requirements.txt. So this will install all the requirements. And after that, I will copy all these files into this app directory. And then I will make the migrations and collect static files. So this is specific to the Django project. In your case, it may be different. And after using the cmd keyword, I will run this Gunicon server. So the difference between run and cmd command is that run command will always create another layer on top of the previous layer. And cmd command is the entry point command. It will get executed when your image is created. Now I will create this Docker image. I will give it a tag of web app v1. And then I will mention where the Docker file is using dot, and I will run this command. So my Docker image is created. Now I will run this Docker image. I will map the ports. Then I will mention the name, which is web app. So now my Django app is running. I will stop this container. Now I will show you how you can configure this Docker file with the YAML file that I showed you before. Now moving on to the YAML file. So in the services, I've created another service web above the DB service. So in web, I'm using the keyword build. So this will find the Docker file and build according to it. And after that, this command will run. This will start the Gunicon server. And then in the volumes, I have mapped the current directory to the app directory of the container. And after that, I've mapped the port 8000 to the containers port. And after that, I've used the keyword depends on, and I mentioned the service name, which is DB. So this service depends on the DB service. And in the settings file of Django, I will replace the default database and use the Postgres container. So these credentials are the credentials mentioned in the environment of DB service. Now let's run this service. So this is the command. And there is some error. Let us debug it. So it is saying it is facing some error while executing this command of make migrations and migrate in the Dockerfile. Actually, these commands depend on database and the database is not yet created at this point. So I will comment this. And then I will show you how you can run this later. I will clear the terminal. I will again run the command. And now you can see our database service and the web service is running perfectly fine. Now I will show you how you can run those commands. You can actually access the terminal of this container. I will show you how. I will first get the container ID using docker ps command. So this is the container ID of the web service. Now I will show you how you can get the access of terminal. So this is the command docker execute interactive. I will paste the container ID, then bin bash. So this is the terminal of the container. I will do ls. These are the files. Now I will run those commands. To exit, you can type exit. You can also run this compose file in detached mode. So this is how you will dockerize your project. I hope you like the video. Please like, share and subscribe, and I will meet you in the next one.